Protests in Los Angeles have now entered their fourth day, and Donald Trump, in the past several hours, is now calling for the arrest of all masked protesters on his Truth Social. He also said to, quote, call in the troops as protests, while remaining largely peaceful throughout LA County, have seen some violence occur in parts of the protest, including the burning of vehicles, including shutting down roads, including vandalizing buildings and vandalizing vehicles as well. Now, Mayor Bass, I spoke with her last night, and she says that violence has no place in these protests. If you want to protest, you can protest peacefully, but keeping violence out is critical because that's what the administration wants. The administration wants to see violence to be able to send in U.S. Marines, to be able to send in more National Guardsmen. Right now, only 300 National Guardsmen are on the ground, 200 in LA County, 100 in Paramount, according to Mayor Bass. If there are more videos of violence, more protests that turn violent, then the administration will likely send in the Marines, will likely send in more National Guardsmen. So it's important to remain peaceful. And Donald Trump now is calling on authorities to arrest all masked protesters. Now, that is not lawful. You can wear a mask during a protest. That is your First Amendment right. That is your freedom. You are free to express yourself in whatever way you want, including wearing a mask. Donald Trump's word is not law. But if authorities begin arresting people just because they have masks on, well, that's going to send our nation down a very dangerous path. Before I continue, please consider subscribing to my Substack by clicking the button below or sending a one-time donation to my Venmo, Aaron-Parnas, to support my work. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced that the state of California will be suing the Trump administration today. A lawsuit will be filed in an effort to lift the presidential memorandum ordering the federalization of the National Guard, the first federalization since 1992. Once we get that lawsuit, I'll get it to you as soon as I get it. Multiple journalists on the ground were actually shot by riot police overnight as well. Lauren Tomasi, who's a U.S. correspondent for Australia's Nine News, was struck by a rubber bullet on her leg, fired by police while reporting live. She was sore but not seriously injured. A British news photographer is recovering after emergency surgery from being hit by a non-lethal round while covering the ICE protests as well. He was struck in the thigh by a 14-millimeter sponge bullet, documenting a standoff between protesters and police outside of the Home Depot in Paramount, California. Overnight, 27 people were arrested during the protests. 17 were taken into custody by the California Highway Patrol. LAPD arrested 10 others. Meanwhile, in San Francisco, about 60 people, including several minors, were arrested after a protest outside of the Immigration Services building turned violent. According to officials, it was initially a peaceful rally, but then it turned violent and folks were arrested. Labor activist Pablo Alvarado, who is the co-director of the National Day Labor Organizing Network, cited ICE's presence in Pasadena and urged the community to hold peaceful protests in support of vulnerable immigrant communities. The city of Glendale, one of the most populous cities in Southern California, has chosen to cancel and end its agreement with U.S. Homeland Security and ICE to detain federal immigration detainees. Officials said that this decision aligns with the city's core values of public safety, transparency, and community trust. Vice President Harris issued her first statement regarding the protests, saying that she is, quote, appalled by Donald Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard and encourage people to protest peacefully. Now, Vice President Harris, as many of you may know, is actively considering her next political move, including possibly running for governor of California. In non-Los Angeles news, overnight, Israeli naval forces seized a charity vessel carrying Swedish activist Greta Thunberg on Monday after it attempted to breach the naval blockade of Gaza. The British-flagged yacht, which is dubbed the Madeleine, was operated by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. It was aiming to deliver symbolic aid and draw global attention to the situation currently in Gaza. Authorities have seized the boat. However, I don't really have much more information. I'm looking more into it right now. Ukrainian special forces say they damaged 2 fighter jets during a nighttime raid on a Russian airfield, aiming to disrupt President Putin's advances on the front line. Yesterday, Donald Trump briefly stumbled while boarding Air Force One, but quickly regained his footing without continued assistance. Now, that's not news in and of itself, but if Joe Biden did that over the past 4 years, Fox News would have been playing it on repeat. Representative Maxine Waters attempted to enter the Los Angeles federal building where SEIU President David Huerta is currently being held. She was denied access despite citing her congressional authority. And if you're traveling right now, be aware TSA is warning you that you cannot use your Costco ID to supplement your real ID requirements. Yeah, that's real. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown later today of more news. So subscribe to my Substack to support my work, or send that one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas, and I'll see you this evening.